to get water. I had ice in my cup, so I thought I would get rid of the ice in the cup because it makes noise. So I went to open the back door, and I opened the back door and threw the ice. And as soon as I threw the ice and turned, the dog went and took off bounding to me.
Whoa.
And I couldn't get the door shut. Like I was like, ah! Trying to shut the door, like the horror movie of the thing trying to get in the
Yeah.
So I was trying to keep Mac outside while I was trying to. Yeah, it didn't. I mean, he's outside still, but it's terrifying.
We're in.
We're in.
What's up, Nicole? There it is. Get things started.
Ew, what? No, I can't comment. Unless I
you have to have YouTube up
to
comment. No, you got to have YouTube open to comment, and I have to have it open.
Oh, well then I just have to open it on my phone.
Ahoy, friends! I can comment, but it just comes up like Bob did it.
I'll just continue to say hi. Hi everyone. I won't be typing anything. Yo ho yo.
Lots of ahoys and a howdy.
The chittity chat there, so I can just in case I have to do any managing of the chat, I can.
You manage the hell out of them. You just manage them.
Sometimes I need to manage.
Where's Jeeves? Jeeves would do it.
Jeeves would do it. He would handle it.
Jeeves.
Here's the chat. Let me pop that out.
What'd I do? Huh.
Oh.
You made that real big. I'm gonna pop that over.
What was your other person's? What? Look at what has happened. What is going on my screen?
You've done something terrible.
It is terrifying. Whoa.
Oh.
There. Okay.
What was your other slave's name? It's not a slave. Apologize.
And yet, fair.
Not fair. Not fair. There's a terrible mischaracterization.
Personal assistant.
Condor. Obviously. He's flying the jet. My very well-paid private pilot.
That one doesn't bother me as much somehow.
The pilot's name is Condor.
So, okay, explain. Okay, people, you'll hear this whole story on Patreon.
Don't explain it.
Hopefully.
No, I'm not going to.
Ahoy,
I have no explanation. So
has
that
Bob
helps.
showered Tiffany? Thank you for the super chat. And no, I have not. I almost did. I got a haircut.
I got a haircut today.
And I had every intention today of
Why are you out of focus?
Taking a shower. I don't know. I was going to take a shower because my beard was all scraggly. I needed to trim my beard and all that. And then just everything just kept coming at me today. And then so I just went in and trimmed the old beard up and cleaned myself up for you guys and threw on a little deodorant for Zacky Poo.
Appreciate that.
So nice.
Yep. So tonight is all I'll tell you guys. You can hear the whole story on Patreon, hopefully, if I didn't screw it up this time. Sorry, patrons, last week for that.
I got to hear about that.
But tonight is in our state is the Mega Ball, and it's over $1 billion. And we were just talking about and none of it involved that nasty word that Zach used. I was just going to hire some employees. And
I apologize.
Perhaps for a certain monetary amount that I would pay them handsomely for, allow them to go by a different name when they were at work. That's it.
Nice twist. I'll allow them.
Thank you, Nicole. Nicole said, Bobby, you've been doing a great job editing these follow-ups. Can barely tell all the shenanigans are actually going on.
Yeah.
I've been trying real hard to keep things nice and tight.
I could tell you wanted to whistle again, but you knew that you had reached your whistle quota and you could not get away with pardoning it even one more time.
Yeah.
I just want all the Patreon people to leave Patreon comments to see if 600 million is equivalent to $1 billion.
Okay, first of all, it was 670 billion. And second of all, I didn't say it was the same.
You did. You said it was the same.
It's effectively the same. I couldn't spend 300 million. So once you get beyond that point, it doesn't. You can't. You're making too much an interest to even possibly spend it unless you're Johnny Depp or someone like that. Or if you want to like rule the world or something. I don't want to. I effectively want to do nothing. Like I want to just do like what I would like. I don't want to be in charge of anything except for my employees. That's it. And actually, I'm going to hire somebody to manage the staff. I think. No. I don't want to manage all those people, so I'll hire somebody else.
That's not Jeeves.
Manage them. No. Somebody has to be Jeeves' boss.
What does my name get to be?
You said that you would go by Jeeves for $250,000 a year.
I would.
Which ruined Janet's whole point.
I would.
The watermelon shake from the cookout is strangely yummy. Chris is having a.
I don't know what's happening.
I don't know. Apparently, she's having a cookout with some watermelon shake. TS says that they want a fence, and $1 billion could definitely buy a fence. That's what I'm saying. TS, it's like I'm a simple person. Private jet, a fence, $1 million a year in staff.
Don't get everyone into like auctioning off how low they'll go
Boom.
to be Jeeves.
Both of you can.
How are you flicking me off? You already.
Because you guys act like I was horrible for asking somebody to go by a different name for $250,000 a year. Tiffany would do it for $150,000. Oh, and Kathy sent us cookies, which was nice. Janet, did you eat any of the most likely dried up cookies by the time you got home? You guys ate yours, right?
I did. They were good.
I just got back, so I haven't gone to my post office box.
I got mine. They were good.
I am going to go, and I did hear a rumor that cookies arrived for me while I was in Rhode Island. And Kathy, thank you so much.
It's very sweet. Kathy. And so Kathy had sent them twice because she sent the wrong address the first time. Baked a fresh batch, sent them, and then I was supposed to send Janet's. So I went to the post office and was like, I'm going to do this right here. And I took them out of the box, and I put them in another box, and then I went to the counter, and I shipped them off to California. And then 2 days later, I talked to Janet. I'm like, hey, you got some cookies coming? And she's like, cool. I'm in Rhode Island. Perfect.
Sounds right. Right.
Yeah. But I really appreciate it.
By the way, Tiffany is campaigning for this job, by the way. She says she's super organized and she's an administrative assistant now, so she'd be a great Jeeves. And I bet that she doesn't make $250,000 a year for that job. I'm only assuming.
I guess all that needs to happen now, and this is pretty minor, it's like a tiny detail, is that you just need to win $1 billion in the lottery. Right.
Win the Mega Million. Yeah. And according to Zach, I'll be poor because the cash option is only $670 million. And that is, who could live on that?
I said you would be poor. I didn't say other people would be poor. I said you would be poor.
I would not. I'm the simplest guy in the world. Like,
I know you too well.
Do you know what my dream, like, if you had a, let's talk about this real quick. You have $670 million. What vehicle are you driving? Janet, you first.
What vehicle am I driving for all that? I probably would still just get like some version of the car I have now.
A little Subaru. Okay.
Maybe a Subaru. Yeah. You know what? My friend Kirsten, who has been on Criminal Minds for 13 years now, can afford any car she wants. She plays she has glasses and she's up on the computer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She drives a Subaru. And she did all the research and like of what the
so
she got an electric
drove a Subaru.
Well, she has an electric souped up Subaru. Brandon has a Subaru and I have an Audi, but it's like an old
Oh, that's right. That's Brandon's car, is the Subaru. Zach, what would you drive if you had $670 billion?
I don't know. Something nicer than what I drive now, which isn't hard.
No.
I drive an old man car. I like my old man car, though. It's comfortable.
Would you do something with that truck in your driveway?
No.
Just leave it there?
Just leave it there.
Leave it there.
Would you do something like put it up on blocks just to do something fun?
Yeah.
So Penelope, in the chat, they're saying Penelope Garcia. She's the computer
There
lady.
we go. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I don't
She's
watch
fun.
that show.
She's a fun character.
She's wonderful. And she's a wonderful person.
Yeah. Well, you guys kind of ruined my thunder there, because what I was going to say was if I had $670 billion, I would just buy a newer version of the exact same pickup truck I have now. Same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, simple. We're simple folk.
We're simple folks.
Yeah. Yep.
I was figuring you would say I wouldn't drive.
Yeah, actually, let me take that back.
You don't
I would.
drive?
I would.
think you're too much of a control freak to.
Oh yeah, I
don't
want to ride with anybody.
No, he really is. But I just thought it would be more funny that he would be like, I won't drive.
Yeah, have people pick me up and all. No, because I have to have a truck because I will.
He will Uber everywhere.
I would replace my boat with the same boat, but maybe newer, a little bit bigger, possibly.
Yeah. Look, it's adding up.
Yep, it's not going to take a dent out of it. I'm saying.
Zach has on a little green visor, and he's got a little old timey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that enough?
Zach and my wife this week both did the same thing that annoyed both me and his wife.
It did.
Yeah, I
mean.
Came in the house after this.
Those two are mean.
Because we always pointed out in a group text. Well, Becky, I think, had put on her stories when I was yelling at her and Bella for being slobs, and leaving. So first of all, I get up in the morning and I open the freezer to get something, and I see the box of ice cream sandwiches in there. And something caught my attention. Oh, what caught my attention was that there was a wrapper for an ice cream wrapper or ice cream sandwich on the counter, 6 inches away from the trash can.
Uh-oh. That seems like teenager behavior, but
yeah, I'm like, Bella. and then I saw that, and then I pulled out the box, the ice cream sandwich box, and it's empty. But what really caught my attention as a person who pays a lot of attention to detail is that the open end of the box was facing in the freezer, which means she didn't just reach into the box and grab the last one.
Mm-hmm.
She took the box fully out of the freezer, took the last one out. She's standing one step from the trash can and put the empty box back in, took one more step, opened the ice cream sandwich, and set it on the counter. So there's slobs and I don't shower. Those are two different things, Tiffany. So I was like, oh, fucking kids. And it's not just her, but that instance was her. And then while I was looking at the trash can, I looked at the window that was right there, and I see our Blackstone griddle with the lid open, which if you have a Blackstone, you know that it's on the back of it has a drain that goes into a thing that catches all the grease. But if you leave the lid off,
mine's in the front.
Even easier. All the water runs into the grease container and then spills the grease all over everywhere. And so our entire new deck is covered in greasy water and stained. So I wasn't thrilled about that. And so when I was joking around with Bella and Becky about them not paying attention to anything that's happening around them, Becky must have been filming that. And then Michelle sent to our group text that Zach also left the lid off of their Blackstone and got greasy water all over their deck on the same day. Although, in your defense, you have to put a cover on yours. Ours literally has a lid, like on a hinge.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a vinyl cover. It's just literally just put it down.
In my defense, mine has a lid and the lid's closed, but our grease trap is outside of that. So then I have to put the cover over that.
Over that thing.
Yeah. So I didn't do that.
It still seems like not as bad.
You guys are mean.
We're mean. You guys are destroying our. That's what I think Becky put on was me screaming in the kitchen. You guys are ruining my life. I need to use the little boys' room.
I'm surprised that you lasted this long.
Yeah, I did. Well, I was going to, but then it was like we were late, so that I didn't want to be gone when the chat started. There's Erica. Erica says that she did see that on Becky's Instagram, me yelling at my daughter and my wife. Really let him have it. But see, that's something Jeeves could handle for me.
Bob's mean.
Get up and go to the bathroom.
Jeeves, could you let Becky and Bella know that I'm displeased? I am displeased with their behavior.
Bob and Michelle just pick on Becky and me. That's all they do.
I feel like you guys pick on us. Like that. Like some of these things you guys do cannot be mistakes. I feel like you're like, oh,
I think this is underestimating us.
This is going to get them going.
No.
Or over.
Maybe overestimating.
Probably over.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
I'm going to the little boys' room.
Oh, please. They're mean. They just text about us back and forth, but in front of us. The two of them.
In front of them.
But in front of us.
No, you're the sweet, innocent ones.
I'm gonna try, and Becky tries.
You're not trying to hurt anybody.
Try not to.
Getting a lot of compliments on your shirt. I know. There's it's
an important shirt.
And I absolutely know who has the same shirt, but that was a long time in the chat ago. So
Kelly does.
Scroll up. Kelly does.
Kelly said. Yep. Kelly said it somewhere. Yeah, it's an important shirt. It's an important shirt. Oh, I'm ready. Tomorrow sucks. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow.
Tomorrow's bad?
Tomorrow's what we talked about earlier,
Oh yeah.
and a viewing for somebody else. So
Oh no.
it's a week. It's a day. It's a week and a day.
No
all in a day.
kidding. I feel like you had like 1 week that was sort of okay.
Yeah.
And that was it.
It'll come back around.
Yeah.
It'll come back around.
Okay. Did somebody else volunteer to be?
What?
I see that Kelly also wants to apply for the Jeeves position. And Tiffany is saying, Tiffany says, back off, Kelly. I'm already Jeeves. Guess it's not as bad as you made it out to be, is it, Janet? People would love it. They would love it. What a fun story to tell, to tell your friends. Be like, yeah, I work for this crazy man, and he pays me an extra $50,000 a year to call me Jeeves.
And something about it feels just weird. I feel weird about it, but I can't put my finger on why.
I can't
feel
put my finger on why.
Debased somehow, but
yeah. And he makes me speak in a Irish accent.
This is just
This
snowballing. What is happening?
That is, I said, that's just the gate. Yeah, it's a gateway, and then you start piling things on. You're like, let's see, I'm so rich and bored. What else could I have them do for?
Listen, there's nothing more fun to listen to than like an Irish or a Scottish accent. You can't deny that.
I can't.
Imagine. Try it.
Cannot.
See? Can't do it.
Try being around someone right now with an accent.
No, try denying it.
Cannot deny it. Open my mouth to try. Couldn't happen.
Couldn't do it.
Nature wouldn't let me.
No, not a Southern accent, Kelly. You can get those anywhere. It's hard to. How do you get somebody with a Scottish brogue? You know?
Yeah.
Is that a word?
I think so, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm so dumb. I have no idea.
You're fine. We're not bringing up brogues that often.
Can you guys just like speak English, like for once, to me?
Oh, all right.
Like Midwestern English. Like break it down.
Like say words like interesting without the T.
Yeah. Walmarts. I go to the Walmarts.
Walmarts.
Good to know.
I haven't heard that one. There's the S at the end for sure, but not the K.
Yep.
Walmart.
Go to the Walmart.
Gotta wash it.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm gonna start going to Walmarts for sure.
Okay, so
Kelly, I gotta tell you, I have such fond memories of Pittsburgh. I want to go back. I really enjoyed that city very much.
I was there briefly one time.
We buy me a pirate ship.
Well, I would, Zach, but I only have 670 million, and I want to run out of money.
Right. That's not.
Unfortunately, you shot yourself in the foot on that one, Zach.
All of my friends.
Poor.
I'm going to send Janet $1 million for all of her help over the years, and you get nothing because I know that you'd be upset if I ran out of money.
Yeah.
There is a soccer player that just turned down a 3-year, $776 million contract.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
To kick a ball.
Mbappe.
All right. We should get serious and start the show, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good idea. 5:22. Yeah.
We're doing all right.
Yeah.
Not bad. We didn't talk at all about what we're going to. So I'm going to one of your first questions is going to be about timeline stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. Then I won't do a whole bunch of stuff up front because when we get to that, because I spent a good part of the day messaging with somebody to get some verifiable stuff into a timeline. So I'll share that then.
I can change your name.
You what?
Nothing.
Do not change my name.
I was just looking. I didn't know if I could or not.
Are you ready to hit record?
Never readier.
1, 2, 3, record. Stop pretending like you have a button. You don't have a button. He doesn't have a button.
I don't want you to stop pretending. I think that's very funny. I'd like you to clap as well.
Yeah, let's all clap. 1, 2, 3. Thanks, Zach.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
That felt great.
Somehow it's
Wait, my recording didn't it like skipped after all that. Oh no, we gotta start over. Take it back.
Hang on,
Take it back.
Are you recording now?
Yeah.
Oh, let's go back.
And
recording. You're rolling now.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Zach didn't clap that time. Real quick to answer your question, Devin, what I found out, it wasn't my fault. Well, it was, but not really as badly as I thought it was my fault for you patrons last week. I did hit record, but I had some setting wrong so that when I switched to the YouTube live, it just deleted that recording and started a new one. So I'm hoping that I fixed that this time. All right. Oh, you start. It's your thing to start.
I usually do.
Let's try. Did you guys listen to the bloopers at the end? I was pretty happy with
I
them.
did not.
Oh no, because you didn't do bloopers the time before that, so I was
too busy. I was too busy last week too, but I couldn't help but end the bloopers with Zach saying, "If we just answer questions, we act like adults." That was the end of the bloopers.
Can I go? Mm-hmm. Ahoy,
room
friend.
Tone.
Ahoy.
Action.
God damn it. Ahoy, friends. Thank you for tuning in to Truth and Justice. You are listening to the Friday follow-up for, damn it, we're not doing a season. You are listening to the Friday follow-up for August 4th. And this week took us to Leeds, Maine, and the disappearance of Alex Jackson. Bob connected with Alex's sister Kayla for a quick conversation on Alex's last known whereabouts. We have a lot of questions this week, and Robert, Janet, and I are here to dive into all of them.
No, thank you.
I made him do that.
You're children. You're both children.
We have a lot of questions this week, and Bob, Janet, and I are here to dive into all of them.
That's better. Thank you.
I knew he wasn't going to start unless I actually redid it. So.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It went well though. It was a good move.
It just felt real good.
It just felt good.
The first 4 hours of my day are going to be editing Zach's intro, and then we'll move on from there.
I can try again. You want me to go again?
No.
Yeah.
Let's call it a day. It's called okay, here we go. I'm going to come back in here. I don't know what to say. Hang on.
Come on, Robert.
All right. Thank you all for joining us today. We got a full room in the YouTube chat, and we've got a lot to cover today. This is an intriguing one. We were discussing in the pre-show how, for me in particular, and I know Zach and Janet too, and a lot of you listeners, this is like one of those cases where we want to like dig in and do a deep dive into it. So I've been struggling a little bit this week trying to just get the information for the follow-up and then move on to the next case when this case has so much that I feel like needs investigating. So I did spend a large part of this week leading up till now and most of today trying to, because I know you guys have tons and tons and tons of questions that are kind of left open after the episode on Sunday. So I try to get answers to as many of those things as I can. And trying to get verifiable answers. So this is one of those cases that Alex has been missing for a few months now. So there's a ton of local attention. There's the Facebook group I told you about. There's another Facebook group that's talking about it, and there are tons of rumors. There's a lot of good information. There's some misinformation. There's some unverified information. So I spent a good portion of today reading through a lot of posts and reading through a lot of comments and talking to some people that have been following the case for a long time and trying to suss out what is for sure verifiable information and what is I'll call it unconfirmed stuff, because there are some things that like seem like this is probably this could be true, but no one's able to confirm it. So it's one of those, it's almost like a game of telephone, it seems like, where it'll be like somebody will come into that chat and say, this happened. For example, somebody's like, well, Alex had run off to Vermont and disappeared in the past. And that one person says it, and then 40 people keep repeating it, and it just becomes like canon. It becomes part of the story. And then you start digging into it and finding out. And I've seen, on that particular topic, Some people said, yeah, well, he moved to and lived in Vermont for a little while, but didn't disappear. And then other people are saying he disappeared, and then some people are saying it was for 6 weeks, and then somebody's saying it's for 6 months or 6 years. So it's unverifiable if he had gone missing before, or if he just lived there. And so there's a lot of things like that. So, and I'm only bringing that up because I know a lot of you have been very active with this case in particular, looking through, trying to gather as much information as you can. And it's you're seeing things, and it's hard to decide or decipher what's real and what's not real. So I'm hoping, at least along the lines of timeline, that I can at least break down the things that seem to be confirmed and how they're confirmed. With that, I'll start with Janet this week. Janet, what did you think about this case? And we talked a little bit about, you got a little bit of a sneak peek because I was having kind of a moment and I needed to talk to somebody. So that was you while you were walking the streets of Rhode Island about it before the episode came out.
Yeah, I mean, it's super intriguing. It's unsettling. I obviously don't want this family member to be missing. But there were, from the interview, a lot of questions that came up for me as well. I've seen many to all of them echoed in various posts on the Truth and Justice page. I too went down a bit of a rabbit hole today trying to solidify some stuff. And so I know that I and many other people are very eager to hear what you feel to be the most dependable timeline.
Yeah. What do you think, Zach?
As Janet said, it's intriguing. And the way I feel about it after listening to the episode, I mean, to kind of quote our friend David Ridgen, is someone knows something.
Yeah.
And that's the way I feel about it. So there's somebody out there knows something about this. I don't know who. I don't know if it's people they were with or people that they don't know that they're with, but there's somebody out there that knows something that more than what we know.
It's definitely wasn't one of those cases for me where it's like, oh, I can listen to it and then share it and then move on. Like this one is really stuck in my craw and I think part of it is because I just really, my feeling, I was going to say my gut feeling, but it's not that. My feeling based on what we know about the case, as I kind of started to break down at the end of the episode, is I really fear that something has happened, that something has happened to Alex. Somebody took him or worse. I just don't, the evidence that we know of, to me, and even more so after spending the day today looking into this, doesn't seem to me that Alex just decided to take off and leave. And we'll get into that as we get into the questions.
Well, do you want to start us out with the timeline? I know, again, we've had a lot of questions about that. How do you feel about the information you have and how things were playing out and when?
Yeah, so I mean, it seems like everything Kayla told us was accurate. There's a few other things that I was that when I saw them, I was surprised she didn't mention. Not really surprised, because it's a lot more stressful thing than people think when you go on. You're being recorded to do this. That certain things might slip your mind and left out. But then I realized when I was listening, they weren't really left out. It was just they were touched on. But not dove any deeper into them. And I didn't know enough about the case at the time to ask some of these follow-up questions. So the big question I had is in trying to understand this day is, first of all, is trying to get some kind of a timeline together. When did Alex leave the house? And I haven't seen an answer to that. I don't know that anybody for sure knows the answer to that. But a couple of friends of his received Snapchats from Alex that day. And the first one, and unfortunately the person, and so like I'm getting these, and I've seen, because everything I'm trying to do is get like source material for. And the person that I was talking to that was kind of helping with this, we're trying to sort through, like I don't care what people are saying. I want to know, what do people know? And this friend that got the Snapchat took a screenshot of it so he could share it, but he didn't see it till the next day. So it's the way the timestamp worked on Snapchat, I guess, is he waited long enough. He didn't get an exact time, but sometime in the 11 a.m. hour on that Friday, on May 12th, Alex sent a snap out the window of his truck, like a picture of his side view mirror. And in the side view mirror, you can see behind him the trailer loaded with something. To me, it looks like you just kind of get a glimpse out of the corner, but to me, it looks like some kind of heavy equipment on the trailer. He's driving on the road. There's some kind of heavy equipment on the trailer.
So that already conflicts with what we heard.
Well,
potentially
kind
to
of.
be true.
Kind of. But if you go back and listen to what Kayla's saying, she's not saying really anything. Like, she's not saying he definitely left without the trailer. And it sounds like where his parents live is like a subdivision. So like the trailer would be kept most likely, I think, out at like at the farm in Hiram. So maybe he left and then went and trailer at 11 in the morning. He's driving, hauling this, what, somebody said in the YouTube chat, bulldozer. It could be, that's kind of what it looks like to me. It looks like some kind of big heavy equipment. Later in the day, and they don't know what time, but it was in the afternoon, he sent another snap, same image, like same picture, like out the window of the side view mirror, and you see the trailer behind the truck, and the trailer is empty. So it seems like, the meaning of the snap to his buddy is just like, I'm hauling this thing. Look, I got a trailer load. And then later he's like, dropped it off, driving down the highway. He's definitely on a divided, like 4-lane highway in that second picture. You can see that, behind him and in front of him. Now, I will say that there are people that, of course, everybody is like working and trying to like break down theories and all this, or people that say we think those are old pictures. Because of like the foliage of the tree line. To me, it looks like what you'd expect from early May. I've never been to Maine, but I know like in Michigan, early May, you've got green in the underfoliage, you've got trees starting to bud out, but they're, depending on the type of tree, like maple leaves will be leaved out, but like oak trees or other trees won't be.
So you've actually seen these photos? Okay.
Yeah. And I have to see if I can have permission to share them. I don't think that'll be a problem, but I don't want to promise that I can share them because I didn't ask the individual that showed them to me if that's okay. But you see trees where like the tree tops are not leafed out, but everything down low is leafed out. To me, in Maine in early May, that makes sense. Also, be a super weird thing, I think, to like, why snap somebody those images
Right.
that you saved from earlier? It seems just like a strange thing to do. But so the beginning of the timeline, as best we know, is at 11 o'clock, he was driving somewhere, hauling the trailer with some kind of heavy equipment on the back of it. Then we have kind of a blank period of time with no timestamps, but we know some things happen. Like you heard, like it sounds to me like there was no like clear plan. It wasn't like Alex went to Kayla or his girlfriend Megan or anybody and said, okay, my plan for today is to go do this, this, and this. It was like he took off, went and got the trailer. He had communicated with his girlfriend that he was picking a tractor up somewhere. A lot of things like going to Skowhegan, like when did that come in, is a little bit wishy-washy, but it sounds like that was from a conversation that he had with his girlfriend. We do know one thing that wasn't mentioned is, and I've seen like the screenshots from an employee at a place called the Red Roof, which I think I've heard was like a hardware store / gas station. I've heard it described both ways, but there's, like snacks and stuff in there. There's an employee from that hardware store that says that, and that's in Leeds, that Alex with Joe and with Hazel, the dog, were there at some point that day. They were in there and they went in. I think they said they bought snacks or something and left, which kind of tracks with what Kayla was telling us that, at some point he was up there, he's with Joe, they went out and they got some food. That might have been that trip. But so at some point we know he's in Leeds with Joe. There's actually a witness outside of all this. It's just an employee at the store that says, yes, those two were here with the dog at some point. So a weird thing that we hadn't heard about is there's a person in Hiram, which is where their property was at, where Alex and Megan have that property. There's a person in Hiram that said that Alex, and I've seen like this person confirming through like messages, again, screenshots of this stuff, confirming that Alex was supposed to be there around 3 o'clock that day to pick up a bulldozer. And he never canceled and never showed up at 3:00. The plan seemed to be that it was 3:00. It was a little concerning he didn't show up there. Then we jump to the conversation with his girlfriend, with Megan, happens about 3:30. And, you know, Megan just says from the comments and stuff that I've seen from her, she just says that they were chatting on the phone about he was going to come down. He said at that time that he was like her impression at least sounds like was that he was in the truck with Joe, and that he was going to be back down to Hiram to do chores later that day. The kind of conflict there is that what Joe seems to remember is that Alex is like out pacing around talking to somebody. I don't necessarily think that's a conflict. You know, our as we know from years of doing the work that we all do, that your brain will tend to connect dots for you, right? So like if he's like, yeah, I'm with Joe, we're picking up a tractor, whatever, in Skowhegan, and I'll be back about 5:30 to do chores. You know, could just be the way she, in her mind, that must mean they're in the truck, and so they're in the truck. Could have been they were sitting outside somewhere. Here's where things get a little bit weird. At 3:44 p.m., and this is where things get tight, where we have some verifiable times. At 3:44 p.m., Alex texts a friend named Hannah, and he says, "You a milk inspector now?" Now, what's interesting about that, according to Hannah, is she's another farmer. She knows Joe very well, and she knows Alex. She's kind of a mutual friend. She had just gotten a job as a milk inspector. According to her, only her family and Joe knew about that. That text in context makes sense if Alex is with Joe, their mutual friend, who happens to be one of the people that know that she got this new job. If Joe's like, hey, Hannah just got a job as a milk inspector, that he would message, oh, hey, you're a milk inspector now? So he sends that message at 3:44. It seems like right around here, something starts going on. I don't know what it is. But back to kind of the point I made at the end of the episode, what doesn't seem like is going on is that that was a different case, that Alex is in like some kind of crisis and is planning to run away and disappear right now. It's not the impression I get at all. I mean, that's a very casual text to a friend at 3:44. Now at 3:45, we heard Kayla say that Alex talks to their friend Walter, who is the guy that owns a farm in Gorham, which is down south by where, and I haven't made a nice digital version that I can post cleanly, but I'm going to put a map up for you guys to see where these locations are at. But he lives down south of where they live, and Leeds is far north from there. But Kayla had said he talked to Walter, and Walter said, hey, if you need help, I can come get you. And Alex says, no, I'm fine. I'll be all right. I'll be by at some point. That didn't really catch my attention at that point. It just was kind of ambiguous. It was just kind of part of the story. And again, I think that's, Kayla's nervousness and stuff, like she remembered that detail, but didn't really expand on that.
Mm-hmm.
So the story that's out there, that rumors have snowballed from this, but from what I understand, there was another friend, guy named David, who lived in Bath, which is down again south but east of over by Portland, who said that all these names, that Alex was going to come by his house that evening and was going to pay him. Like maybe that's what the $150 were for, was to pay him because he works at their farm sometimes. He even said that maybe they was going to come and have like a dinner, that they kind of weekly dinner on Friday. Sometimes he comes by and has dinner with him, whatever it was. But David says that he was expecting Alex to go to his house that night. But, and I'm going to jump ahead a minute. So the conversation with Walter happens at 3:45. according to the source of like the family and everything and conversation, that's the time that was verified was 3:45. So 3:44, he texts Hannah and says, "Oh, you're a milk inspector now." A minute later, he has a conversation. Unclear if this is a phone call or a text message. I believe the way that Kayla put it on the podcast was that he messaged Walter, but that could be a call. It could, I don't know. But so it's 1 minute later that happens. Hannah notices that he never, I don't know if it was Facebook Messenger or whatever, that he never opened and saw her response. When she at 3:44 when he sends the milk inspector thing, he never opens it. She responds several times and he never opens it after that. David says that at 3:58, so about 13 minutes later, that he had contact, and apparently he had verified. He says that he had verified this with the phone records at the time, that he wasn't going to make it because he was having car trouble. So now we look at the timing. That Walter saying, or according to Kayla, that that Walter's like, "Hey, if you need help, I can come get you." And which I took at that time to mean like, "Oh, was he having like a crisis? Like, is everything okay?" Well, now it sounds like what he was talking about was that he was having trouble with the truck, or at least that was the impression. And this is where we get into some sketch. Everybody's they know for a fact what happened here as far as him having truck problems, but a lot of things conflict. But supposedly that was the deal with Walter. The Walter situation is a bit of a mystery because he was supposed to go pick up a bulldozer in Hiram. And apparently he had a check in hand from the family, I believe, to buy that bulldozer, and that check has still never been cashed. But he's also supposed to go to Hiram to do chores. But then you have David in Bath saying that he was going to stop by there. And then you have Walter, him telling Walter, at least the way Kayla put it, and maybe it's not that Kayla might have just been kind of talking off the cuff, but the way she put it was that I'll get down, I'll make it down there. So there's 3 different places where people were kind of expecting him. I've also heard from what I've seen from different people who know him, and have posted and commented about him, that this is not atypical Alex behavior, like double booking, being busy, not like the way it was put to me was he's like the most dependable, reliable guy, at the same time the most unreliable guy. Like, if he says he's going to help you, by golly, he's going to help you. But if he says I'll be there at 3, may not be there at 3, may show up at 5, may whatever. So we got like 3 different places where he's supposed to be. But after that 3:45 phone contact with Walter, where he says, and this is where people have said he had a friend coming to get him. They said he was having car trouble, but he had a friend coming to get him. But that's just not exactly the way that we heard Kayla describe that. It was just that he said, "I'm okay, and I'll get down there." But whatever. So there's some talk of there's car trouble around 3:45, and he's with Joe at that time. There was a couple different, I believe David and then again Kayla, or Megan, had said that he was with Joe during those conversations. And also at 3:44 again is the text to Hannah that says, "You're a milk inspector now," which only Joe knew. After that, the last contact is at 3:58 contact with David, according to David, where he says, "I can't make it. I'm having car trouble." And then at 4:28, so 30 minutes later, the text goes out to Megan, his girlfriend, that says, "Going to Vermont." And then poof, that's it. So it's incredibly strange. Now that call, they said, from what I read in the news reports, was that call pinged a tower in Monmouth, which is just east of Leeds. I've heard that that same tower might, because it's very rural out there, they're probably big macro cells, that tower also covers all the way up to the Leeds area. But it's up in that area where the text comes through that says going to Vermont, and then disappears. All of this to say that all of this to me reinforces in my mind that Alex did not run away. And all of the people that had contact with him that day, all the people that spoke to him, the phone records where the the confirmed phone records we have, the locations he was at. Nowhere in there is anybody saying that he's having trouble, that he's running away from anything. It sounds like he's running behind. He's sending Snapchats of, look, I'm hauling this bulldozer or whatever it is, and now it's gone, and then just poof off the face of the earth. Since then, the truck, the trailer, all of that gone. None of it has been seen since then. So that is the best timeline we have so far. Some other people have mentioned. I saw somebody in the YouTube chat have put in too that in the group somebody had said that he told other people. I think somebody posted in our group too that he told other people that that he was going to Vermont. Well, what that is there's a friend or two, or two of his friends said, I guess, that he had mentioned to them earlier in the week that he may be going to an auction in Vermont. From what I've seen, no one has said he may be going on Friday or Saturday. Certainly there wouldn't be an auction in Vermont on Friday night, so maybe Saturday. But that was where that came from, was that he had told somebody that he may go to an auction in Vermont. Nobody said when. But everybody that was with him that day, there was no talk of going off to Vermont until Joe says that he told him when he was leaving that he was going to Vermont. But then he just disappeared.
So the car trouble thing interests me because this is the first time that I feel like I've heard about it.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't know if we have any questions, but that's a very interesting concept that he's had. There's an idea that he's having car trouble, but if he's having car trouble, where's the truck and the trailer? So it doesn't seem like there's actual car trouble.
Well, right. And then somebody said that it turned out to be a sensor or something, but but that's the type of stuff where I'm like, nobody can confirm that. It's like somebody said that. And I'm not saying that it's incorrect or that it can't be confirmed. I'm saying I wasn't able to source it. What I'm trying to do is source stuff. So it's like, well, so-and-so said it. Okay, well, where did they get that information? Well, they said it, so it's true. Well, that person said it to that person, to that. But yeah, but who is the one that has the source knowledge of the fact that it was a sensor on the car? And again, I'm not saying that's not out there. I have not been able to find that stuff yet.
And the 345 contact with Walter, the way that I took it originally was Walter contacted him saying, hey, if you need me, I can come get you.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's a point of contact before that where he had to contact Walter to tell him something was going on.
Right.
So from yeah, I thought so too. From my understanding, from what was shared with me today, and some of the stuff seems like it was confirmed early on, but it's just kind of, there's just so much going on here, was that there was a call to Walter, and he told Walter that his car was broke down, and then Walter said, well, I can come get you, and he said, no, somebody else can get me. Okay. Which still fits with what Kayla had said. But my question is, why would he call Walter then? Unless it just happened to be, because nobody else has shared, like, was that a text or was it a call? Did he call him, or did he call Walter, or did Walter call him? Now, could it be that just out of the blue, Walter just like, hey, what's going on? You want to come by? And he's like, man, I'm up here in Leeds right now. My car's broke down. And, oh, do you need me to come get you? I don't know those details. Because the question to me was, if the car was broke down and somebody was helping him, why would he call Walter to tell him my car's broke down, but I don't need you to help me? When it also doesn't seem that Walter's house was on the agenda that day. So there's still a lot of mystery here. But all we have are those bullet pointed timelines where it seems like at 3:30 he's talking to Megan. She doesn't seem to think there's anything wrong. He's just coming down. They talked about some stuff, and that he's going to come down and do chores. 3:44 certainly doesn't seem like anything's wrong. Just sends like a very casual, friendly chat to his friend Hannah, just saying, oh, hey, you're a milk inspector now? Everything's fine. 3:45 is the Walter call. And I don't know if that's an exact or an about. I believe it was presented to me as an exact, but maybe it's an about. It's cars broke down, but somebody's coming to get me. Then a few minutes later, talks to David, according to David, and says, hey, I'm not going to make it. My car's broke down, which seems to confirm that talk. And then 30 minutes later, going to Vermont. And all that's so let's say that they discover there's something wrong with the car at 3:45 based on these records. that would mean that 43 minutes later, they figure out what's wrong, the car is fixed, and now he's decided to drive this car he just fixed to Vermont. That to me makes zero sense. Like, especially out in that area. They're like, no one knows where they were at that time, but like to get to a point let's say it was a sensor and they're right. You got to plug that into a machine to figure out the sensor it is, what sensor it is, get to an auto parts store, get the sensor if they have it, and then tear it apart and change it. Like, to go from cars broke down, I need help, to I'm going to Vermont in less than 45 minutes doesn't track with me.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, I see a lot of stuff in the chat where folks are talking about how it seems a little bit strange to folks that you would make the decision to go to Vermont that late in the day, that it's kind of a long haul. Some folks are saying it's, could be as little as 3.5 hours. Some people are saying it can be as many as 6, and that some of it could be back roads. And,
It seems like from looking at the map,
that trailer.
Yeah, it seems like from looking at the map, there's like kind of two ways. Like from Leeds, there are back roads that can take you straight to Vermont. Or if you want to go on highway, then you got to go south all the way back down to like Portland, I think, is there, all the way down to the southern tip of Maine, and then go around and back up. Like, there's no highway that goes from Leeds to Vermont without that. To me, I'm guessing maybe that's the 6-hour route, and the back roads are the 3.5-hour route. I don't know, but yeah, again, it's all very strange.
And what did Joe say the timing was of him no longer being with Alex?
From Joe, I think he said it was around 3:30. And again, this is secondhand from Kayla, but it said like 3:30. We know is when the phone call happened with Megan. Joe says that he's kind of pacing on that phone call, and then around 4 he leaves. Which, around at 3:58 is when he talks to Dave. I mean, that would track that, around 4:00 he left. And he says that he tells him when he's leaving that he's going to Vermont.
And Joe, there's no part of the conversation with Joe in which he says that there's been car trouble.
No, I haven't heard that is the case. But I can't say that one way or another. That's not, I should say, like, this has been very, very difficult on the family, just missing someone in general. It's also, as often happens with this, is there's a bunch of people that want to help, but then people want more and more information. The family's talking to the police are telling them don't share information, and then people want more information, and then it creates some kind of drama that the family has been through with that. With a lot of people that have been pretty kind of awful to them, I think, while they're trying to go through this. So I haven't spoken with Kayla since we did the interview. Like, we did the interview, sent a couple of messages. She wasn't super responsive before we did the interview, but I haven't heard back. I haven't heard anything negative from her, but I haven't heard anything back since then. I kind of get the impression that they're like, okay, we did this, we put out more information, and I don't want to keep talking about it. But because of that, unless I hear more information, I don't know. I can't answer that question with any amount of certainty.
And Lilius, I know that you're in the live chat, and you had made that long post on the Facebook page, but I feel like we've addressed most of that just through Bob kind of talking through the information he got today and the timeline. Lilius does ask if we know if Joe's family was also there at the house, and has also heard that police have searched that area and some other areas, but there are also a lot of questions from people about where searches have already occurred.
From what I've seen, the police are pretty tight-lipped about what's going on here, but there have been searches. I know for a fact that the police have spoken with Joe, obviously, because he was the last one to see him alive. I've read that they've done like ATV searches, like they've been out on ATVs doing searches. I know that they really focused search effort in the like Gray, North Yarmouth area, it sounds like, which is where the dog was found. That's where Hazel showed up. But this is, someone put put it the other day that in Maine they say the woods have woods in them, and just from the pictures I've seen, like there's a lot of deep and dense forest, so it's very tricky to search through. But it seems like they've used ATVs. I don't know if dogs were a part of it, but they've searched down there. I don't know if they've searched. I read someone saying that they had searched like Joe's property and stuff up there. I don't know if that's something someone's saying on the internet. I don't know if that's verified or not.
Lynn says, can you share now? I'm sure many people are wondering this. Can you share now what you were recommending to police investigators? And did you also ultimately feel like Alex's sister was fully open and honest with you?
Yeah, I want to part of for the second part of that. Yeah, I want to make clear. I don't think that Kayla was hiding anything from me. I don't think she was intentionally hiding anything, because there have definitely been comments like, well, for example, the broke down car. She didn't tell you about the broke down car. She didn't, but I don't expect that without me knowing the right follow-up questions to ask. And she told us that. To me, it seemed when I listened back today, like that was maybe on her mind, but it didn't come out when she said that, and he talked to Walter, and Walter said, I can come get you. And you like that. I think she was describing that incident there. Certainly there are people that are wanting to dig into and share, any kind of dirty laundry from Alex's past. Nothing that I've seen, the stuff that people have talked about and rumored about, and the stuff that's verifiable and not verifiable, and none of it to me has any bearing on this. But certainly that wouldn't be stuff that Kayla would want to air out any dirty laundry or anything like that. As far as the theory of police, I don't want to do that. You guys. A big part of it was the fact that I feel like a crime was committed here, that I don't think this was a runaway. I have kind of some specifics that I've worked through that are just more theory and suggestions to people that have most likely already thought about those suggestions. And I can't tell you that they're not going to share anything with me what they're doing. So pass it along and move on. But no, I don't want to, because what I don't want to get into, because what's happened on some of those pages is people start to theorize, and then it turns into people pointing fingers at this person I think was involved, and this person I think was involved. And this is a case where, and that's tricky for our audience too. And so, like, I know our mods who do an amazing job on our Facebook page managing that have really we need to let people, that's what we do, is to brainstorm and think and use our investigative minds and try to work things out. But at the same time, not have people accusing people of crimes. Because in this case, it's not like, say, like the Pinion Pines last season. We know a murder happened. We know very specific things about who was where and when. And we started having, and there's all these public records about those people that we're discussing and trying to analyze how that might fit. In this case, we don't know if a crime was committed at all. So to make the leap from maybe there was a crime, or maybe he ran off, to there was a crime and I think this person did it, is irresponsible. So we try to limit that stuff as much as we can on the page and just keep it to kind of maybe thinking of ideas and certainly not accusations. I'm certainly not going to even voice anybody's names or anything like that if I have a suspect or something like that, because again, we don't even know there's a crime committed, and we're dealing with, this is, while it spans a large area geographically, this is a very, very rural, small town type community, even though they're spread out. But the people in Hiram know the people in Leeds, and everybody in Leeds knows each other, and North Yarmouth and Gray and Gorham, like all these people know each other, and it's not a densely populated area. So if you come out and start saying, well, I think this person might have had something to do with it, and I think that's somebody that should be looked at, well, then particularly from this platform, could make people like, well, I heard on the Truth and Justice podcast that so and so is a suspect, and then that snowballs.
Right.
So that, I just want to let you guys know, that's why I'm not sharing that. It's not that I want to keep anything. I'm just trying to be respectful, and I'm trying to be fair and responsible with the information that we're sharing. So we're not negatively impacting anybody else's lives right now. All of my thoughts are passed on to the authorities that could actually do something about it.
I think so much of the secondary information we keep coming across, just as you said, I mean, it reminds me of like the old game of telephone where it starts out as one thing, and by the time it gets to the end, it's completely developed into something else. And it's just could be starting as hearsay, and then by the time it gets to the next three people, it's proven. And that's the information we have when it's really not.
Yeah, and that was and I'm only not saying her name because I don't know if she wants to be identified and ask that question. But the person I was dealing with today was like very good about, in all honesty, like I had texted Janet earlier. I'm like, I think this person might tell me to fuck off because I'm just like, yeah, but I can't take what you just said. I need to know where that came from. But they did not. They spent a good chunk of the day today going through and digging through screenshots and helping me find to source the stuff. And I'm sure there's still stuff that person thinks is still very reliable that I'm not going to report because until I can see a source, I'm not reporting it.
Right. Well, let's talk about the dog for a second. Let's talk about Hazel. I see Nicole, your post in the YouTube. It's a great question. Nicole says, do we know the condition of the dog when it was found aside from the different collar? Did it look like, for example, it had been wandering outside for days?
From the way Kayla described it, the dog was perfectly healthy, other than different collar. And actually, I saw that this person I was talking to today actually shared with me a screenshot of the post the person had made that found it, that had posted in their community page that found Hazel, and she looked fine. And in the post, she said that she had a chicken in her mouth, but other than that, she seemed fine.
And Kristen asks, if something has happened and there is foul play, could they get DNA from that dog collar? If, for example, and this is speculating, of course, but if somebody intentionally did all of that.
No, there was a lot of discussion about that. And I saw a response from Kayla where somebody had asked, like, can they get fingerprints or DNA or something off of the collar? And she'd said it had been handled by a lot of people, so they didn't think that would have been possible at that point. I don't know if police actually, decided not to check for that, but that was what she had said, was that too many people had touched it.
Okay. And Allie says, the dog collar is what's really bothering me. Who would do that? Is there a way to figure out where the collar came from? That's what's making me think it's foul play, but by someone who knows him, because if it was just some random person with bad intentions and actions, wouldn't they just release the dog with no collar? It's like the person wanted to still make sure the dog was recognized as being someone's dog and not a stray, so they'd be taken care of once found. Such a strange detail.
It is a weird detail, and I know that Kayla had gone into like the tractor supply companies and places that sold that collar to see if anybody, recognized Alex as being in there buying it. It's a pretty common collar, especially, this is farm country. I'm not a farmer, but there are a lot of farmers around here, but this is rural ag country where I live. And I know lots of guys that have those same Carhartt collars on their dogs. So certainly not uncommon, very, very popular collar. The why is what's intriguing. So, and I was thinking a lot about this, and I don't know that I know the answer, but one thing that occurred to me was, if a person were trying to misdirect a search, I think that a good way to do that would be to take the dog far away, to take the dog to maybe somewhere close to home, which it was pretty close to. I was like 5 miles from where they live, and let it go there and let it be found. The thing that you have to be careful about in that scenario is, what you don't want to happen is, you don't want somebody just to find the dog and be like, oh, I got a dog. I'll keep it. But if you put a collar on the dog, then most people who find a dog with a collar on it will, post about it. They'll try to find its owner. But if the collar that he had him before, and I've seen pictures of the collar. She said that his name and phone number, that Alex's name and Megan's name and phone numbers were on the collar. I'm thinking the way it looks, because the only thing I saw hanging off the collar was the bell. That is probably a collar like what I have for Mac, my dog, which is it's a metal plate that's like riveted into the collar with his name on it. It's not a tag that hangs off of it. So if you had a collar like that, well, you don't want maybe somebody to find it and know right where it belonged to. But even it's really hard to think through this. But it it would make sense to me if there was some kind of foul play, if someone was trying to misdirect police, and so they release the dog far away, like say somebody did something to him up in Skowhegan. Well, let's go an hour and a half south and drop the dog off here so somebody will find the dog, and certainly they won't think that something happened in Skowhegan and the dog ran for 80 miles. They'll think that something happened here. So that's the only thing that makes sense to me. It's super perplexing.
Well, I do want to kind of give a counter to that from Heather, who says, it could be that the collar is a little bit more of a red herring. And I know Susan also mentioned that maybe there's a more innocent explanation. Heather says, if the dog got loose or ran off and chased something, it could have been separated from Alex. If the dog was on a leash or maybe holding the collar that the dog slipped out of, and then maybe something even could have happened to him while he was searching for the dog. And it's true that, one of the things that I've definitely been in a situation as well, and I know Heather's saying she has too, that you come across a dog that is not collared but appears to be catchable or helpable in some way. And so you find, like, we definitely have extra collars. We definitely have extra leashes that you just sort of slip it on. I guess the question is, like, it would just be nice if someone came forward and said, if it's not the person who found the dog that put the collar on, then who is this middle person? Maybe they just don't know that all of this has happened, but it's a little strange.
Yeah, it would seem that makes sense. It would, like you said, it's strange because it's such a small town. So you have not only social media, but like everybody's talking, about this missing person from this small town, and that his dog was a part of it. That no one has said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I found the dog and it didn't have a collar, so I put this collar on it." It'd still be, the collar's gone. It's still strange. But it could explain why the collar's on it. I don't know. The dog is a big mystery. That's the only thing I can think of. And it could be something as simple as like I said, something happened to the collar, and maybe Alex just bought a new collar and stuck it on him. It doesn't seem like that's probably the case, but yeah, the dog and the collar are really perplexing.
And Kristen asks, just looking for more information around that. Has anyone checked surrounding stores who sell the dog collars to see who bought one? Alex's sister checked to see if Alex bought the collar, but that we seem to know that maybe he didn't do it, or that nobody in the area, bought that collar. But we don't know, right, if further investigation has been done around where it could have come from.
I don't know. I don't know, but I do know from what it seems like that the police have really focused their search in that area, so they seem to be convinced that because the dog was found there, that Alex would be somewhere in that area, which again is a big wooded area. But the strangest thing about this case, besides the dog, is it's a wooded area and it's hard to find somebody. But he's driving a really big truck with a really big trailer on it. Like that's so hard to miss. I know people in the YouTube chat have said, like, well, you could get an accident and slide off the side of the road and maybe nobody would notice it, but man, that would be to me that would be hard to miss for this long.
And if the woods are that dense, that it would maybe with that size of vehicle, that it would cause some sort of damage that would be visible in some kind of way.
You would see the road, especially with a trailer. You would see the grass tore up and everything. Like there would be evidence that a vehicle went off the road.
Yeah, and someone else said that if he really was having vehicle issues of some kind, maybe the trailer was separated by that time from the truck. But then we have two different things in two different places that still haven't turned up.
Which again, neither of them has turned up.
Strange to me. Yeah. Lynn, I saw your comment earlier in the live chat, and Lilius echoes it in the Facebook chat, also asking just, do we know anything about cameras? Any cameras that were checked? Any footage that was checked? I know there's been a lot of conversation around that.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen any information about cameras being checked or anything like that. I would hope that they were, but it seemed like the the road where like Joe lived, I mean, there's on the way out of that neighborhood, there's several houses. You think maybe one of them would have. Here's the thing, though. A lot of people keep saying, well, you could check ring doorbells or ring cameras. The thing about those is, so I have ring cameras. You can set the area where it will pick up motion. And the first thing that I did when we moved here and I set up the new cameras is adjust it so that it doesn't cover the road, because I don't want the camera tripping and turning on and alerting me every time somebody drove through the neighborhood. I only want it coming on if somebody comes onto my property. Mm-hmm. So it's not like old surveillance cameras that are always running. Most of the newer cameras are motion activated, and most people set them so that they don't go off when people drive down the road.
Right. Well, I think that's pretty much what I have. I think we've covered everything. So if you posted something and didn't hear it specifically be called out, I think we sort of did the best we could to compile the information we really did have, get to some of those questions specifically, and beyond that, that's kind of a mystery.
Yeah,
and by kind of I mean it's 100% a mystery.
It is, and I know I've seen through this. We have a lot of listeners that do live in the area and know people from the area. Keep sharing this and share it anywhere, because if, for example, if let's say Alex did take off, it seems like he probably didn't take off to Vermont. He does have friends in Vermont, but they haven't seen him. They don't, they haven't heard from him. No one's heard from him. No one's seen the truck there, but it's possible he got in the truck and decided just to take off, and he's in California now. We don't know. Nobody knows. So that's one thing that we can all do, is to share the post, share the episode. Even this episode is a good one, I think, as a follow-up to share with more information in it, to try to find them. And people that are local, stay vigilant, stay in the groups, and look out for maybe any organized searches that might come out. I heard that actually Texas EquiSearch, who we just dealt with in Kaylana's case, I don't know why we heard it with Josh Amos's case, that the Ohio EquiSearch came to Illinois for that one. But then I was told that I saw that Texas EquiSearch was coming up to help search in this case. So just keep your eyes peeled. I can't let this one go. I'll still be working on it and digging into it whenever I have any time, and any updates that come up, I'll be sure to let you guys know if there's anything anybody could do. But yeah, stay vigilant on this one. It's a tough one. It's not like the other cases where it's very, very possible that it was, that it may be a recovery situation, and there's kind of a specific area to be searching for. This one's complex, so I guess I'll leave it at that and not continue to ramble on it. Do either of you guys have anything you want to add before we end the show tonight?
The only thing I can think is do we know if they put out his plates to surrounding states for them to be on the lookout for, like the police?
I don't know. I know in the flyer they did put his plate on the flyer for people to be on the lookout for. I don't know if they share. I like to hope that they would put it into like NCIC and get that information out anywhere, so that if it gets, but the only thing I saw though was the plate on the truck. I didn't see that they put the trailer plate out there, but hopefully that's being done as well.
Because I think those need to be spread around a lot.
Yeah, because it could be you just get pulled over, or somebody sees a truck anywhere can run that plate. But definitely look at the flyer, make sure you see the plate. If you see any big white Dodge Ram 3500 trucks with I think it had like a custom bed, like a steel like dump bed or flat bed on the back. It wasn't like a normal looking truck. Look at the flyer, check those plates, and everybody just stay vigilant with this one. Janet, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I hope that the family gets some resolution, and by family I mean family and friends, and we just don't know what we don't know, and some things I feel like we know that we wish we knew more about very specific things, and we'll just keep our eyes open. And is this the best place? Like, is there a good hub for people to keep checking in to see if searchers are needed or requested or anything like that? Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, I think
other than coming back to.
Yeah, the Facebook page that I shared in the episode, I don't remember exactly what it's called off the top of my head, but I'll have it linked in the description of this episode, and it was definitely linked in the description of the main episode. Join there, and if the family is that group is run by the family, so that's where they will post if there's some kind of organized search that the family is asking for help for.
The Facebook group is searching for the number 4 Alex Jackson from Maine.
There you go. Searching for Alex Jackson from Maine. And then that's it. And then make sure you tune in this Sunday. I've got another one for you. This next one is a rough one. There's a call to action in this one that again very well could be a recovery, but you'll hear the mother that I'm interviewing, the desperation in finding her daughter, and there's a very specific way that she needs help doing that she's asking for. So make sure you tune in this Sunday, and then next follow up we'll be talking about that, and hopefully we'll have some updates on some of these other cases as things move along. But with that, we love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in every week. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
All right, we can stop on our audio. All right, we can do chat here for a minute, but I gotta fill my water up. I wasn't lubricating my mouth.
Before I forget, I will not be here next week.
Oh, no Zach next week?
No Zach next week.
San Zach?
Where
are you going?
I have family in town. So we have our annual fishing trip that we did last year where my son won a bunch of fucking money. So
Yes.
and I'm gonna try to not let him win the money this year.
I can't believe that was a year ago. Wow.
I know, right? So long
That's
ago.
crazy.
It wasn't even a whole case ago.
It wasn't even a whole case ago.
Oh. This is a tough one. This is a really tough one.
Yeah, it's appreciate everybody's attention on this, and for those of you who have been following this from before Bob got involved, I know it's been frustrating. So, gosh, I really feel for you. Wow. These are hard.
Yeah, it's extremely hard.
This is a hard in-between season.
It's extremely hard because there's so much. You hope beyond hope that these people come home, and you hate to say anything other than that. But there's so many times with these cases that we're looking at a possible recovery over someone coming home, and that's tough. You don't ever want to say that they're not coming home to anybody, but so many of these cases, some of these cases we looked at, it's tough to say that they're coming home.
Right.
At least in my opinion. And that's sad. And I hate to be the one to say that.
No, I know. And our listeners are they're so action driven, and they want to make a difference. And so going case by case, I mean, I'm still worrying about Josh and thinking about that and wishing there was more I could do. And I'm completely haunted and devastated by Kealana. And so there's a little bit of an accumulation factor happening here. So for those of you who are in the chat who feel that, we totally feel the same way. And
this has most definitely help. I was talking to Erica last night. She's helping go through some of these cases with me, and she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm doing okay." It's not the emotional break that I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Or the mental break, because as we discussed in the Patreon hour, it's not. The idea is here. Let's put out some information, try to help some of these people, and just bang, 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 move through these and kind of get a breather. And I just get sucked in, and I'm learning my brain does not like that at all. It does not like the I'll just forget about this one and move on to the next one. It's just not good for me. But that said, I don't mean to negative Nancy. I'm glad we're doing it. I feel good. I feel very good about what we're doing.
Yeah.
And just like when you hear this interview on Sunday, like it's sad. It's a very sad interview. It's a sad thing, but at the same time, the mother, the woman that's being interviewed, is so thankful that someone is just letting her tell her story. It just means so much even if that's all it is to be able to have a chance to share the story and feel like, and a lot of times it seems like the families are just like they feel like they're not doing enough, and this feels like doing something, and it is doing something. So I feel very good about that, and it's a nice to know at the end of the day. Oh,
It's just a different way to have to come at it, because we're not. I mean, I'm not trained in much of anything as pertains to this stuff, but we don't have that thicker skin that, for example, like an ER doctor has, or somebody who looks for missing people as their number one job, where you have to be able to walk away from something, you do your best and contribute in the way that you personally can. I think we all, for what you've been doing season after season, we're conditioned to hold on to things and really bite down on them and try to come up with some sort of solution and be that kind of help. So it's almost like we're having to learn how to get that thicker skin in a way.
Yeah. So sorry for all of you guys for dragging you into this with us, but you're coming with. We'll give this a couple minutes, see if anybody has any super chats we got to get through. And if not, then we're going to go watch Hijack. That's what I'm going to do.
Do you know my family's in your house?
I do know your family's in my house.
Okay. I just didn't know if you knew that my family was in your house.
Yeah, I know Becky said that her and Michelle were going to go for a walk together.
Which means the boys destroyed the house.
They destroyed everything, probably left empty.
Left two 12-year-olds and an 8-year-old to destroy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Man, it's so weird. I don't watch very often things in real time, and was watching Hijack. It is killing me when ended on such a massive cliffhanger last week. I'm like, we gotta wait a fucking week. Who does
fun
that?
For me, because I haven't started it yet, which means I'm not gonna have to go through this agony.
I clicked it. Stop clicking it.
Thanks, Devin, so much for the super chat. Says it's not $500 billion, but it's something. The thing is, Devin, what I'm looking for is $670 billion.
The thing is,
thank you so much, Devin.
The thing is, it would only be like 200 and.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, if it was the thing is, yeah, Devin, if it was 500 billion,
smaller and smaller,
you would only get 280 of those billion, and then what would you do?
Yeah.
How are you going to survive on that?
Yeah, I'll show you real easy.
How are you going to survive on that?
How to survive on that?
He's going to have his own reality show about surviving on.
You know what I would do if I had the billion, if I won the 670 million, whatever it is I would never stop doing what I'm doing.
I'm just going to hit the end broadcast button.
But I would for sure take a couple months, not doing something different for those couple months, but just unplug for a couple of months, get my wits back about me, and then dive back in.
What's the over under on 3 months? You think that's where it should be set?
I don't think he would last even 3 months. I think he'd be back. But this is better than you did say one time if you won the lottery that you'd be like, goodbye forever, all of you.
Yeah. That would probably be my initial reaction, would be like, okay, I'm out. I'll see you later. But I love what I do too much to be. What would end up happening is I would be like, okay, I'm going to take a year and investigate a case and perfectly produce it and put everything together just in a neat, tight package and then put it out like that, because I would have the income to be able to not have an income for a year while I did that. Lilius, thank you so much for the super chat. And she says her super chat is a super duper chat. And
it's probably directed at me. Just being honest, probably directed at me.
Why is that directed at you?
Because I'm pretty super duper.
You trying to steal all the super
I'm pretty
chats.
Super duper. I'm way more super duper than you are.
That's true.
With your $600 million.
Let's face it, Janet's the only super duper one here.
That's true.
Nope.
What did she call us earlier? She called us something earlier. It was very funny. I don't remember what she called us.
She said that people would like to watch.
It was not fit for anything but the Patreon.
But it was very good. I laughed
You did
very
say that
hard.
people would enjoy watching the clipping the moronic conversation we were having about
Yeah.
the lottery winnings and
Yeah.
arguing about how much money that was. Kelly with super chat. Thank you so much, Kelly. Kelly says, "I agree that this season is not an emotional break. Thank you though for helping these families." Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
You're exactly right, and it makes me happy to know that you guys are all always there for the journey, whatever torture that I drag us into. That you're here
You
with
sure
us.
do.
Mm-hmm.
You sure do.
I just can't. I just keep thinking back. Like, what was I thinking when I thought that this wouldn't affect me like this?
Yeah.
And the thing is, Janet knew it. The first thing you said, the first day that I did one of these, you're like, I was like, your brain doesn't work like that to be like not connected in this way.
Yeah.
Wouldn't trade it for anything except for $670 million
Not a billion.
and an assistant named Jeeves. Who was that? Tiffany? Who was going to be my assistant?
Tiffany.
I know Kelly was trying to hone in
No,
on
it was
her.
Tiffany.
Yeah, but then Kelly later said that she wanted to apply.
Yeah, Hannah, we have a late joiner, Hannah, who identifies as a friend of Alex, is wondering if it's possible to see this live as a repeat. Like, is there a way to run through and see it, and whether you can see the chat and stuff after?
It will be because of contractual issues we have with our advertisers. These lives, after we're done, they disappear, but then they come back a couple weeks later. Once we hit our numbers that we have to hit on the audio side of it, Hannah. Friend of
But the
Alex asking.
podcast, we won't be able to see the chat question. You wouldn't be able to see the chat questions, but at least all of the audio to this comes out in just a couple of days.
Yeah. So Hannah, on Friday, these follow-up episodes come out, the audio version of the podcast. So any of the questions that we talked about on here will come out there. And I have to ask, and don't feel free to message me privately or email me if you don't feel comfortable putting it here. But Hannah, are you the friend who Alex had messaged asking about your new job? I'm just curious. That was one of the things I was going through. But if you're not comfortable breaking that down here, that's fine. We can either don't at all, or you can message me privately. But I just saw that you said I wasn't sure if there was anything I could help answer.
Yeah.
Let me.
Yes.
Yes, he messaged me. Okay, great. So I guess we can. I don't know what all to pick your brain about, Hannah, but I guess we'll ask a couple of questions. One is, do you know anything about the car trouble situation? Do you have any kind? I've seen all over the place that a lot of people have said that he was having car trouble. It seems to have happened right after he messaged you. The timeline I got was at 3:44. He messaged you that says you're a milk inspector now, which I think I had read, and correct me if I'm wrong in the chat here, that you took to mean that he was probably with Joe, because Joe was one of the few people that knew that. We did discuss that earlier. But then right after that, there was a call with his friend Walter, who I don't know if that's connected with everybody, that where Walter had offered to come get him, and he said no, somebody was coming to get him. People had said there was car trouble. And if you're friends with Joe, maybe you know like what was going on. Were they together at that point? Were they driving? Where were they if there was car trouble? Anything you can share about that would be great. And again, anything you don't want to get into, feel free to we'll just message after.
I want to hit a button. I wanted to hit a button so bad.
Yeah.
That was just an inappropriate time to hit a button, but I wanted to hit a button so bad.
Yeah.
They're just flashed. They're just looking at me, brightly colored.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. I'm sure you're not. People that are still here are still usually, there it is. Usually after the show, we're just kind of goofing around, and now there's like serious stuff happening. But thankfully, Zach put a stop to the serious stuff happening.
Yeah, good for that.
It's really all I'm good at.
Howard Dean screen. Although I do see here that Kelly Zappa said she almost accidentally sent a $500 super chat and wants to know if that would have increased her chances to being Jeeves. Yes, definitely. All right, so Hannah says it was mentioned to me that he had issues with lights, but nothing actual mechanical. He must have heard it from Joe. I ran into Joe a couple weeks prior at a bar and told him about my new job. So that's how Joe knew. So you didn't. So it sounds like you didn't hear at that time. Only Joe knew and my family, right, about the job, which means that Alex would have got that information from Joe. Okay, so that's interesting. So according to Joe, there was nothing mechanical, just lights that were going on. I wonder if they're like who actually is saying that there was car trouble. Um, Hannah said she assumed that he left Joe's and messaged me. I truly believe it was him who messaged me. Yeah, the person that I was chatting with, Hannah, it said that he had misspelled a word in that message that he commonly misspells when he texts you. So that was one of the reasons. And again, what you missed earlier when we were talking about that situation, Hannah, was that seemed like a very like everything. It seemed to me everything was fine at that time. Because that
Sure.
seems to me like a very casual message to a friend, like, "Hey, you're a milk inspector now," you know. But I agree with you. It seems like everything was fine at that point. I'm baffled by the car trouble thing, and it seems like the only information. Hang on, she says he never read or saw my response to his message, which is out of character. Because he always spells no KNOW for now NOW. Yeah, and I saw that screenshot. I think you had shared with somebody about that. So that's interesting. So the car, so the car broke down didn't come from Joe. He didn't say that. So the two sources we have for that is and I did see like a screenshot from that friend David who said that he said he couldn't come because his car was broke down or because he was having car trouble. And then the call to Walter, which again the way Kayla described it was do you need help? I can come help you. And him saying no, she didn't really say that it was a car issue. That's interesting. Oh, I should probably end this for too long, but now I just feel like I want to sit. I'm trying. Sorry, Hannah. I'm trying to act like I'm not on a phone call with you, or I'm just going to sit here and just ask you a million questions
I
when
know.
we're in a very public YouTube live. But let's do this, Hannah. If you don't mind, if you can look me up on Facebook, Bob Ruff, or you can even if it's harder to find me, it shouldn't be too hard to find me. Certainly, I like at Bob Ruff Truth on either Instagram or Twitter is an easy place for sure find me, or Bob Ruff on Facebook, or the Truth and Justice podcast page on Facebook. Send me a DM maybe, and we can chat because this doesn't. I don't know if we should be digging at all this on here. She says everybody points fingers at Joe, and I don't believe it. Yeah, I don't know. There's just I think part of the problem is there's just so many unknowns out there. Thanks for that. Hannah says I have nothing to. Well, you guys are all watching this, so you can see that on screen because Zach's good at his job. They have nothing to hide. I want any information possible to help find Alex. And we so much appreciate that. Yeah, and I think that the reason, like, people start pointing fingers and start coming with these theories because there's just so much mystery. Like, it's such a strange thing. Like the message to you seems like everything's fine. There's this whole thing about a car broke down, but nobody seemed, the guy that was with him doesn't say that his car was broke down, but some other guy says that he told him his car was broke down. And maybe he did tell him his car was broke down, but that doesn't necessarily mean his car was broke down. It's just, man, it's a lot to try to sort through. Hannah says someone told me that his family had spoke about committing him prior to this. Yeah, I don't know. I saw some of those rumors too, but I didn't see any verification of that. It seems to be just people talking. So I don't want to speculate on that because we don't have any sources for that. 3:44 p.m. is what's it. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and we're going to end this YouTube live. Again, Hannah, feel free to reach out to me anywhere on social media, and I'll be happy to chat with you and kind of pick your brain about stuff. I'd like to be able to have just a conversation and talk about some of this stuff.
Hannah, thank you for jumping on tonight too. That really is a lot. Means a lot to us.
Yeah, thank you very much. And with you, all of you YouTubers in the chat, we've still got 78 people still hanging around. Thank you very much for being here, participating. And we'll see you guys next week. And we're going to end this stream. Uh-huh.